believe. And this is going to be on solving equations by adding and subtracting. These are going to be one-step equations. So when we are solving these equations, we're just going to be using one step to solve an equation. Remember, the difference between an equation and an expression is that an expression does not have an equal sign, and an equation does have an equal sign, and we're solving for a variable. Okay, so you should have written the objective from the Canvas and unit, and you also should have defined your vocabulary terms from the Canvas unit as well. Okay, so after your objective, you're going to take the following notes. So we are going to do most of this by example. Okay, so for our first example, we're going to look at 6 minus x equals, plus x equals 28. Okay, so we need to get x all by itself. So I'm going to make some notes about what I'm doing to the side, and you should too. So we need to get x by itself. So in order to get rid of, or get x by itself, we need to get rid of this 6. So we're going to look at next, ask ourselves, how is 6 attached to x? Well, I can see that it's added to x. So in order to get rid of it, I'm going to need to do the opposite. So we're going to say it's added to x. So we're going to say let's do the opposite. Oops, let's do the opposite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract, because it's added, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, because what we do to one, we do to the other. So subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, and then that'll leave us x by itself. And that will leave us 22 on the other side. So our answer is x equals 22. Okay, so those are the steps we're going to do. We're going to figure out what variable needs to be isolated or put by itself. We're going to figure out how the other stuff is attached to the x, and we're going to do the exact opposite of that on both sides of the equation to make it work well. So let's try another one. For our second one, we're going to say m minus 8 is equal to 14. Well, let's follow our steps. We need to isolate the m in this case to make m all by itself. So we're going to look and see how 8 is attached to the m. Well, it's subtracted from the m, so we're going to do the exact opposite of that, and we're going to add it so that we can get rid of it, because a minus 8 and a plus 8, that's going to equal a 0, so that'll make that go away. So that does it over here, gives us m, because the 8 plus 8 minus 8 goes away. But we want to do anything we do to one side, we have to do to the other to balance it out. So we're going to add 8 to this side, leaving us with 2, carry the 1, oh look, also 22. Okay, so whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So I'm going to make a note of that. Whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. And I'm going to put a little cloud around that so that I know that's something that's really important. It's really important to know that what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other. So let's look at another example. If I have 15 equals, oh no, I flipped to the other equal side. I think it'll be okay though. And I have W plus 14. I'm going to solve for W. So I need to be able to get W by itself. So we're going to say, how is W attached to 14? Well, I added 14. So if I added 14, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 14 from both sides. Because like our little cloud says, whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So if we subtract 14 from both sides, we're going to get W on this side because this becomes a 0. And on this side, we're going to be left with 1. Okay? So that gives us W equal to 1. Let's try one more. What if we have 6 equals A plus a negative 3. Okay? So we had a plus a negative 3, right? So how is the negative 3 attached to the A? Well, it's added. So we're going to subtract a negative 3. Okay, well this one becomes, there's 2 negatives, so we know that this one becomes a positive. I'll subtract a 3 from here. This becomes 3. So if this is a positive 3 and a negative 3, they cancel each other out, leaving us with A equal to 3 here. Okay. If you have any more questions, we can go over this with me in person. Otherwise, you are going to go ahead and look to Canvas for the homework assignment. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.